Hey everybody, it's Adam Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. It's Sunday, July 21st today, and I'm sitting down to do just a little brief update because we have a little rare configuration taking place today, which is that the planet Mercury is at the heart of the sun. So let's talk about what that means, and I'm just going to give you a quick visual of it too so you can actually see it. So this happens, every time that Mercury goes through its retrograde cycle. Through Mercury's retrogradation or through its forward movement, it reaches two exact conjunctions with the sun. You can see it depicted right here. And when Mercury is approaching the sun, it's thought to be greatly weakened because the sort of fire of the sun swallows up Mercury. And so, and Mercury is invisible as well. And a planet's strength or power is really in many ways connected to its being visible or its having its own light. And so when it goes under the beams of the sun, it's as though the sun sort of co-opts its power or that the sun burns it up, something like that. And these are just natural rhythms and life cycles of the planets. In their synodic cycles, all planets are going to come, into that conjunction with the sun eventually. So when a planet is exactly on the same degree of the sun and maybe even more specifically within, say, 15 or even 17 minutes of an exact conjunction down to the minute within a degree of the zodiac. There's also 60 subunits called minutes. So right now you'll see in this picture, Mercury is just about 8 minutes off from an exact conjunction. It's already made that conjunction, but that's what's happening. So what is that good for? What does that do? What does that mean? Well, when Mercury is at the heart of the sun, and some astrologers will argue that the actual latitude of the planet matters, that it needs to actually be going across the literal surface of the sun, and that's a whole different debate. But for now, we'll just stick with the basic interpretation of Mercury being on the same degree within, say, 15 minutes. What does that mean? Well, first of all, it's thought to mean that the planet becomes empowered by the sun. So if the sun is like the king or the sun is like the ruler, then it's as though the planet is being granted sort of executive privilege. The example that's often used is like an emissary of the king or queen who's in a foreign country but has the seal of the king or the queen to make executive decisions or has executive authority granted to it. Now, what that often means with Mercury is that it's a really powerful moment to gain privilege or favors or for there to be happy, clear, clean agreements or resolutions from or with authority figures. It's a good time to send an email where you have to kind of state your feelings or make an opinion known or kind of say something from the heart that has a kind of decisive quality to it. And honestly, the chances that it's received in a better spirit or in a better place are really high. That's the kind of electional mood of a Cazimi, depending on a lot of other factors, obviously. But in a general sense, Mercury at the heart of the sun, it's like send that email in Cancer, especially, right? Send that email where you have to say something that's kind of from the heart or that's emotional or that's vulnerable, and you expect to get maybe a good response. Or to make a decision that's difficult, but to feel empowered to finally make it. And so suddenly it's as though your mind, your feelings, your thoughts, Mercury and Cancer, are just being granted that clarity and the light and the kind of executive power to just do it. So for example, this morning, I got an email from someone in my family that is ending a relationship. And they were just kind of close with this person, so they were just letting me know that they're ending a relationship. Wow, that's Mercury Cazimi right there. They decided to do it this morning. They just got empowered. They just suddenly felt like now is the time to do it. And they were able to do it kindly and calmly, and it was just an empowered moment. But they also have to try to get out of a lease because they live with the person. So I said right away, it's a good moment to tell the landlord exactly the honest truth of what's going on from a vulnerable but confident position. You'll probably get a good response. Why? Look at what's happening today. We've got the moon moving into trines with Venus, Mercury, and the sun. Smooth sailing, right? Those are nice aspectual connections happening today. Trines to the moon in a Jupiter-ruled sign, hitting Venus, a benefic, and then the Mercury Cazimi and the sun all together happening at the same time. It's a good day to speak your emotional truth and to see smooth emotional transactions. So that's Mercury Cazimi. The other thing that Mercury Cazimi may represent is some empowered sort of solar mercurial quality. So like I've already kind of hinted at, it's not just that you're granted things that you ask for from authority figures. It can also be just good news, a good message, clear-mindedness, a good mood and good thoughts. It can also come through in terms of just clear writing or clear thinking or clear communication, where there's just kind of and the clarity is coming from the sun, and Mercury is just getting really empowered. The other thing can be if you have to interpret or make a judgment about something, interpret some data or make a judgment about something, kind of an empowered moment to do so. The other thing that can come up is, of course, that when Mercury is paired with the sun in general, you have things like music, where there's a clear sort of beautiful transmission or communication of something, but it could be something that's very soulful and beautiful. Venus is not far behind right now in the sign of Cancer, so you can add in a little bit of Venus and get sort of Mercury Sun Venus combination. It's a beautiful day to do something that comes from the heart and that has some aesthetically pleasing qualities to it. So those are some things to think about for today. The moon is also carrying positive aspects from Jupiter and Saturn, which gives gives the ability to fortify, organize, structure, but it also gives you that confidence and lightness. So it's a nice little sequence of astrological energies coming through. Another thing that happened this morning, right as the sun, Mercury was Cazimi, is that another family member of mine, of course, it's all family-related stuff with so much in Cancer, right? The sign of the moon. But another family member of mine reached out to let us know that this person may be moving and would like to make sure that there is some ability to spend time together before they move. See, it's just exactly that same kind of like, this is happening and reaching out and hoping for some more connection. That's all right in line with these are small little events, of course, but these are the kinds of things to watch for. So that's what I've got for you today. I just wanted this to be a quick update, give you a little on Mercury Cazimi, see if you can recognize it in your environment. And remember that more important than what's happening, like, why are we doing this? Let's always come back to that. Why do we do this? More important than just, Mercury's Cazimi, so write that email or blah, 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 is that if you can start to recognize the archetypal forces that are at work in your life and you can become reflective of them, the language of astrology is, of course, helping us to do that all the time. But if you become reflective of them, then you gain a position that few people have in their mind, in their heart, in their body, and in their lives, which is the ability to not get taken by the roller coaster of life, which happens in every day of every hour of every day, endlessly. And when we have something as beautiful as astrology to help guide us through all of these things, then our every time we recognize, oh, there's Mercury Cazimi, or there's Venus opposite Pluto, or whatever the case might be. Venus is also opposing Pluto right now. So you could also, I haven't even mentioned that, but I've already done a little video on that. So hope your Venus opposite Pluto is going well. Look back at my last video for more on that one. That's perfecting today. Let's see, I'll bring it up just to show you. Plug it in. You can see Venus has just passed over the opposition to Pluto. So that was that kind of death and rebirth theme around relationships and love and etc. But the whole point of being able to recognize these things is that each time you do so, each time you recognize it, and you can stand in awe and reverence of these heavenly patterns playing out in your life, you get to see heaven in your everyday life. That's actually the prayer position. That's the definition of the prayer position. Every time you come back to that sacred connection to these patterns and you assume a position of reverence, respect, awe, that's a kind of prayer. Your life becomes a moving prayer when you track the planets like this. And that's the whole point. It's more the point than anything about what's going to happen or how to use the energies for what we want. So just remember that always in looking at these transits. Okay, now I'm done talking. Have a great Sunday, everyone. Take care. Bye.